It worked. Uh,
Well,
welcome
the
back.
technical stuff is so fascinating.
Buttons get stuck sometimes. Oh man, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn segment two, and here we go. The fantastic podcaster Tim Pool, which I only ran across him about 2 years ago, and he's really really good. He is a fellow lefty, as Richard enlightened me
Mhm.
about when we talked about him before. And he was being interviewed by a couple of weeks ago by a couple of British guys. I don't even know who they are. I tried to find out who they were, but I couldn't find out. But he was talking about the difference today between interviewing Republicans and interviewing Democrats. He
If you can even get a Democrat on your show to interview them.
he did say that too. Yeah. Here's his response. Is really really good.
You say the left is a cult.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the whole of the left. Let's be fair. I can do the same thing with the right. And I can say, look, they're completely insane. Look at these nutbags on Twitter.
You'd be wrong.
Really?
How is it that the popular vote winner, Donald Trump, was a Democrat? Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, former Democrat that I supported in 2020. And now the Republican MAGA movement, not the neocons, is an eclectic bunch of diverse views which debate each other. Charlie Kirk, Christian conservative, invites moderate pro-choice Tim Pool onto his stage to discuss those views to the public. On the left, what do you think would happen if you went and opposed their views at a public forum? You'd be threatened with violence. Booking liberals to come on my show or any other show, people
We have the same problem.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk.
I can sit in front of a libertarian like Dave Smith and Charlie Kirk at the same time, and we leave with beers in our hands, smiles on our faces. And Dave will say, Charlie, I really do appreciate it. I think you do good work. I know we disagree. The left doesn't do that. They firebomb your buildings. You could not define what they believe. It's impossible.
It is. If you don't agree with them, you're the devil himself. Or
Oh,
Hitler.
they'll try to shout you down. They'll try to just keep pushing their narrative that's not right, but they are going to keep pushing it. Even when you point out, here is the actual facts. No, they don't like facts. Wait, you can't do that.
Facts are that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I just don't know. But that's why
Beers
we
in their hand and smiles on their faces, and hey, you do good work. I may not agree with everything. You're a good guy.
And I
Yeah,
think
that's
we could do that if we had a liberal on here that was and obviously people we've talked to before, we don't agree on everything. Corey even said that when we interviewed him. Some things that you say that I don't agree with, which is fine. We didn't even talk about what that was. I don't care. I mean,
nope.
I like that he thinks for himself. I like when people actually think for themselves. And when you think for yourself, you're not going to agree with people that maybe you're being interviewed by or just people you meet. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's but he's right. Trying to find someone who's heavy left leaning to come on your show to talk about stuff. They don't seek out conservative to go over the show. My lovely bride finally listened to an entire episode because I forced her to. I tied her down and said, "Here, this." We were sitting out the other day and it popped up last week's episode, and I said, "Well, she always asks when I'm done, go up back out and into the main portion of the
Living quarters.
my spacious home." Yeah. Anyway, she goes, "So what'd you guys talk about?" And I go, "Just a minute." And I bring up the email with all the stuff in it to tell her. I said, "No, since you're asking about it, it literally wasn't 10 minutes later, it popped up." She listened to the whole show. And she said, "What I like about it is," which is a rare review. She's very honest when it comes to anything I do with voiceover stuff, is we have clips. This is the facts. This is what they actually said. And then we talk about what the clip was and maybe what our opinions of it. And then we go on to the next thing. She goes, "I really like that. It was very engaging." She goes, "You were a little weird at times," but that's what she was saying. I'm going, "What? That is death. I am so heartbroken." But yeah,
You should have just said, "Ow, what was that?" My knicker's gotten a knot.
yeah, it's like, what? I've never heard that before. Um, but yeah, and that's why, folks, we're in 41 countries and whatever and we're doing 120 next week. It's people are listening because this is kind of what's happening in the news, and we try to bring it out. Cannot get a lefty to come on because they don't like have facts.
No, no, definitely not. And really, I don't care whose toes I step on if my opinion doesn't, Donald Trump, I mean, in this big beautiful bill, he asked for the debt ceiling to be raised $5 trillion. I'm like, wait a minute, hang on a second. I don't, so I mean, until that gets explained to me and I
I'm with you.
understand why that would be a good thing, I'm not happy with that at
Yeah, I
all.
go, say what? Wait a minute. I thought we were reducing the debt. There's an issue here.
Exactly.
One of these things is not like the other.
At least for the first 80 or 90 days, I think Doge was finding $4 billion a day in waste.
Yeah,
So why is the budget still so high, and why do we have to raise the debt ceiling? It just seems it's backwards to me. So anyway, I don't care who I don't agree with, which is fine. I mean, because we grew up in an era where you could disagree and not have it wasn't a big thing. I've got friends that I've known since I was a teenager that won't talk to me because I'm not a liberal. Okay.
I I still
Enjoy.
like yeah, friends that I do the different radio shows that are turned into a stage production,
Mhm.
and I've done like six of them or something like that. And the director and her husband there, and I'm helping get all the stuff off of the car and taking in our little sets and chairs and all that stuff. And he goes, you know what? He goes, for a conservative, you're all right. And it's one of those things where I know they're lefties, and you're welcome to have your opinion. They never try to shove it on me, so I really don't care. I don't shove my opinion on them. Just try to be a good person and take care of things, and that's as high a compliment from a
That-
lefty as you're ever going to get. You know what? You're just okay for a for a
That's good enough for
conservative.
me too. I'm with
Yep.
you.
I
Uh,
just I just left them and go, well, good to know. And we were chuckling about it, and they're just good people. So
Normally, they won't ask your opinion on things just because, it's like a lot of times they don't, from the man on the street interview things that I've seen where they're talking to the basic leftist that is out there protesting this or that or whatever. And it's like they really don't have any depth to why they believe what they believe. And so, I mean, they don't want to engage with somebody who might be informed. I think
it's
that
all about feelings, nothing more than feelings. Yeah, whatever.
speaking of,
That feelings ain't gonna pay the piper here, pal.
can't run a country on feelings. That has never
No.
worked.
Oh,
Speaking of feelings, my feelings for Hakeem Jeffries has
what
not
a
changed.
segue! I loved it. That was just almost professional.
Working on it. I'm pulling it out as we speak. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries
You
testified
go.
testified in front of a committee in D.C. last week, and he said this.
A dime's worth of benefits from Medicaid.
Oops.
And for SNAP benefits, not a single undocumented immigrant in this country gets a dime in federal taxpayer dollars for any part of comprehensive Medicaid coverage. Not one.
Yeah, not one. Sure.
One my
Uh,
guy. We have someone that has proof to the contrary, might we add?
Yeah, he actually sped up the clips, and I really didn't like that, so I wrote him down real quick. Some of the things that he's got. Fox News interviewed Gavin Newsom live TV, and he blamed Trump for the Medicaid freeze on illegal immigrants in California. Okay, well, that goes against what Hakeem just said. Earlier this month, when the big, beautiful bill was in the House, there was a report saying that the Democrats were ready to defend Medicaid coverage for illegal immigrants. Sounds like federal money to me. In 2024, the IG for the HHS, the Health and Human Services Division, issued a report that said California improperly claimed $52.7 million for capitation payments. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you, but made on the behalf of non-citizens with unsatisfactory immigration status, which basically said the money got
Boy,
funneled to illegal
is that
immigrants.
is that a fancy way of saying illegal immigrants?
Yes, I think it is. It's for people with master's degrees. I think they have to. And lastly, on October 24th of last year, this is during Biden was still president and the election hadn't happened yet, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, issued a paper saying that Medicaid spending on illegal immigrants has cost taxpayers over $16.2 billion under the open borders czar leadership of Kamala Harris. So there you go.
The open borders are, yeah, because she sure wasn't the border. It's the open border, right? Yeah, okay. And the capitation limits, I'm sure glad it wasn't the decapitation limits. That
Even though
that could mean something totally different.
it's still on the table. I mean, I'm against it
Oh,
100%.
yeah. Play the guy anyway. Now that we've got all the stuff that's sped up, just because he's just, this guy is great to follow.
I'd have to go find it. I don't have
Oh,
it.
you just had it a second ago. That was
I
a
know,
little
but
done wrong.
I had clipped off part of it and I forgot
Okay.
the beginning of it.
Never mind. That's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, there's been a word floating around for quite a while now, and it's got worldwide attention. It's called globalize the Intifada. And if you're not familiar with what all that means, in Arabic, Intifada simply means to rise up or to shake off. But in reality, lately it's been meant to riot and has been used by the Muslims for many, many years. But globalized the Intifada really started being used more during the Gulf War. It started in 2003, in the Arab Spring back in 2010 and 2011. The understood meaning of this now, of course, things change, the meaning of things change. It means to get rid of the Jews from Israel and basically exterminate them. Which is obviously a terrible thing to wish for. But what that's doing is laying the groundwork for what we're seeing today. The two young Israeli embassy staffers. The girl was from Kansas originally, but I believe she was living in Israel now. The names were Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. They were killed leaving an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum. Batya Ungar Sorgon actually talked about the details with, I think it was Fox News the other day. So here's that.
I want to just make a point about the victims here. Sarah Milgram is a Kansas City girl, and Yaron Lashinsky, his father is Jewish, but he is a devout Christian. And this love story between them very much represents the history of America, that love story between Jews and Christians, American Christians being, of course, the first population in human history to organize their religion and their country around the protection of Jews, around cherishing Jews, rather than oppressing us. So for them to have been gunned down, this Jewish girl from Kansas City and this devout Christian, because he threw his lot in with the Jews on American soil, this is a crime against everything our nation has stood for since its founding, because this country has always protected its Jews. And to this day, American working class people, middle class people stand with the Jewish people and stand with Israel. On the other side, you have what you were talking about. You have this young man who has a college education, whose manifesto reads like a bad English paper, who was chanting the exact chants in the exact cadence that you hear it on university campuses across this country. I mean, what did they think globalize the Intifada meant? It meant this. And so you're completely correct that this is homegrown terrorism that was born up through this university to Tentifada pipeline, and this is the result. And of course, that is not to take away anybody's free speech rights. Everybody has a free speech right, to say whatever they want. But I would just ask my fellow Americans, do you think it is right to ask Jewish students to show up on a college campus where they have to hear the same chants in the same cadence that came out of the mouth of a terrorist right after he murdered two people because they stood with the Jews or were Jews? The answer to that is no.
Of course, yeah, she's so right. I mean, we talked about this in the promo. I've never understood the hatred towards anybody just because of what family they were born in or whatever.
To go through life and just carry this big bag of hatred with you all the time has got to make life just miserable.
Yeah.
We don't wish hate on anybody. We make fun of folks and whatever. We don't hate anybody.
No, of course
So
not.
it's just sad what took place and how this
Hatred for the Jewish nation has been around for thousands of years. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's nothing new necessarily. But of course, after the shooter's arrest, we're not going to be using his name on here. We're not going to promote anybody's name in any way, shape, or form. But he said he did it for Palestine. So I mean, he's not covering anything up. He did it because, and he had been seen earlier that day at a rally shouting "globalize the Antifada." Basically, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That if you look at the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, in between that land they're talking about is all Israel. So I mean, the hatred, like you said, I just don't.
I just don't get it. And it's not that we don't want these types of people in our country. Most of the Muslim countries want nothing to do with these people. They are just terrible. I mean, they built a big wall in Egypt so that they couldn't. We talk about, who's building a wall to keep people. They trying to keep the Palestinian people out of Egypt because they would just get in and ruin everything.
Absolutely. Walls have worked for thousands of years again. They've built them around cities and around countries for a long, long time. Unfortunately, because, there's savages out there. More stuff is coming out on this couple too. She had recently converted to Christianity and was getting baptized when they got back to Israel. And plus the guy, Yaron, he actually bought a ring to propose to her also. So he was 30 and she was 26. It's a very, very sad story. But hopefully people gain a little common sense and stop it. Stop all the hatred. Gosh, I just can't stand it. Anyway, we are up against a break again. When we come back, we're going to hear from Dr. Peter McCullough. He was up and he was on Capitol Hill somewhere. Anyway, he was talking about the vid vaccine. The jab, whatever you want to call it. So hang in there. We'll be right back.